Hi everyone, this is Ms. Brubeck. Today we're going to be learning about how to simplify expressions that have negatives and zero powers, and that's what this set of notes is about. But before we do that, in class we reviewed the rules of how to multiply, divide, and raise a power to a power, what we learned in class on Monday and Tuesday. So for this set of notes, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to review that. So when we're multiplying, I'll just read the whole thing. According to exponent rules, when we multiply powers, we add the exponents. So if you want to, you could go ahead and do this on your own. Pause the video, try these problems, and do these on your own. That's what we did in class. I went over the rules, and then students solved these on their own. Then according to exponent rules, when we divide powers, we subtract the exponents. And according to exponent rules, when we raise a power to a power, we multiply the exponents. So in class, I stopped here and I said, okay, students, here are the rules on the left. Now please take 5 minutes and solve these 6 problems on the right. So if you want to pause the video and try to solve those problems on your own, you can. I, though, however, am going to go over these problems myself. So here you're going to add the exponents. So we do 5 plus 8, which is 13. So our answer here is m to the 13th power. Here, for this one, you actually, instead of adding the 2 and the 4, a lot of students think they need to add the 2 and the 4. You actually multiply the 2 and the 4. So 2 times 4 is 8. So you're going to have an 8 here. And then you do your exponents, which are 7 and 9. So then you add 7 and 9, which is 16. So you'll have x to the 16th power. For the next one, we subtract. So we're going to subtract 14 minus 5, which is 9. So we're going to have x to the 9th power for this one. And then a lot of students struggle on this. They see the 4, but they don't see a power on the bottom. There's no power, but when you have an x by itself like that, you can raise it to the power of 1. It's always raised to the power of 1, any variable that's by itself. So we have 4 minus 1, which is 3. So the answer here is going to be x to the 3rd power. For the bottom set, we have powers, so we multiply. So we're going to do 5 times 4, which is 20. So our answer here is p to the 20th power. And then for our last one, we need to make sure we multiply our 2 times all of our exponents. So first we need to do 2 times 3, which is 6. So we're going to have x to the 6th power. And then next, we need to do the 2 times the 5. And 2 times 5 is 10. So we're going to have y to the 10th power. And that's it for this page. If you need more time on this page, then please pause the video because I am moving on. For the next slide, we're going to be talking about the 0 power. Now this is easy, but a lot of students seem to forget this. Whenever you raise an expression to the 0 power, the answer is always going to be 1. Always. It will always be 1. Okay, so here you have 234. It's raised to the 0 power. The answer is 1. Here you have 34,290. It's raised to the 0 power. So the answer is 1. Here you have x to the 3rd times y to the 7th times x y squared times 16 to, or times x to the 16th power times z to the 4th power. Oh my goodness, that's a big problem, but it's raised to the 0 power. So the answer is 1. That's it. The answer is always going to be 1 when it's raised to the 0 power. That's simple. For the next set, we have negative powers. Now, I have made this up to try to help people remember. And I say cross the line and flip the sign. Basically, whenever you have an expression with a negative power, you have to simplify it. You cannot have an expression with a negative power and say I'm done. Okay, like it's fully simplified. That's not true. If you have a negative exponent, then you need to do something to simplify it. And I say that you cross the line and you flip the sign. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to add a line. So there's no line here. I'm going to add a line. And what you're going to do is you're going to cross that line. So I added a line and I added a 1. Okay? And what you're going to do is you're going to cross that line. And so you're going to put that X on the bottom, and then you're going to make the sign positive. Then you'll put a 1 at the top. And that's it. I've had a lot of students struggle with this, so let me repeat that again. Okay? You have X at the -2. You can't have a -2. You have to make it positive. The way you do that is first thing you want to do is you want to add a line so that we can cross it, and you can put a 1 on the bottom. Then you're going to cross that line. So you're going to have a line here, and instead of having the X on the top, it's now going to be on the bottom. The exponent then flips. It's no longer negative, it's positive, and then you can put a 1 at the top. It becomes a fraction, and that is your answer. We're going to do the same thing with the next one. We have a negative exponent. We're going to add a line. We can put a 1 underneath it. We're going to cross that line. So if I write a line here, the Y is going to be on the bottom. We then change that negative exponent to a positive exponent, and we can put a 1 right here at the top. Then for the next one, we already have a line. So in the next one, we already have a fraction. So again, all you do is you cross the line and you flip the sign. This time we're going to cross the line and we're going to come to the top. So when we write that, we're going to write it with X on the top. And then that negative exponent becomes a positive exponent. And then you can put a 1 on the bottom. That's it. You also can just write this as X to the 2nd power. Either of these answers I will take. I've been telling students, write it the way that makes sense for your brain. So if the left answer makes more sense for you, always write your answers like this. If the X squared on the right makes more sense to you, then always write your answers like that. Both of these answers are correct. You don't need to write both of them. Just write the one that makes the most sense for your brain. Then the very last one, again, we already have a fraction, so we need to bring that Y up so we can get rid of that negative exponent. And when we do that, the Y is then going to be on the top. The 3 becomes a positive exponent, and then we can put a 1 on the bottom. Or you can just write this as Y to the 3rd. Again, I will take either answer. Just write it the way that makes the most sense for your brain. Now, when I taught this in class, I explained this entire thing twice. So if you need to rewatch this, because maybe one time wasn't enough, that's okay. Feel free to rewatch this slide. Like I said, in class, I explained this entire page twice. I taught it once, I erased it, I taught it a second time to help students really, get it in their brains. So if you need to rewatch this, do that. Or if you need to pause the video to write it down, this is the time, because I am going to move on. Now, what we did in class was I had students then work on these on their own. And I did not give the answers unless students had questions. So what I would recommend for you right now is to try this page on your own. And then once you're done with this page, with this slide 4, then watch the rest of the video. Because in class, students did this on their own. So what you would do here is you would add a 1 here. We'd bring this down. And so our answer would be 1 over X to a positive 5. Okay, that would be our answer. For this one here, we'd cross the line again, but this time we're going to bring the X to the top. So our answer is going to be X to the 3rd over 1. Or if you wrote it as just X to the 3rd, that's also fine. For this problem, the next problem, we don't have a line, so we need to create a line. and then we're going to cross the line. So we're going to bring that x to the bottom. So we're going to have our line. The x is going to come to the bottom, and we're going to change it to a positive 2, and we'll put a 1 on the top, and that's our answer. Here it's raised to the power of 0, so our answer is just going to be 1. This one right here, again, we don't have a line, so we're going to add 1, and we're going to bring that x down. So our final answer, we're going to have a line, bring our x to the bottom, change it to a positive 8, and then a 1 on the top. Here we need to bring our x up because we have a negative exponent. So for our answer, we're going to have x on the top, change our exponent to a positive 5, and then a 1 on the bottom. Or you could write the answer as x to the 5th. Either way, those are both correct. For the next one, we again need to make a line so we can bring it to the bottom. We're going to cross that line, and we're going to bring the y to the bottom, and then we'll change our exponent to a positive 4. Oops. And then we'll have a 1 on the top. We're going to do the same thing with the next problem. We need to add a line so we can bring it to the bottom. We're going to bring our z down. So our answer is we're going to have our line. Our z comes to the bottom. We raise it to the 10th power. And then we put a 1 at the top. This one, our m is already on the bottom, so we need to bring it up. So our answer, we're going to have our line. Our m is going to come to the top. It'll be to a positive 1, and then we can put it over a 1. Or we can just write our answer as m to the 1st. I will take either answer. This problem, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring this z to the top. And so we're going to rewrite it. We have our line. We have our z. We're going to make it with a positive exponent, and then put a 1 on the bottom. Or you can just write it as z to the 2nd power. Either answer is correct. And then these last two, the m is raised to a 0, so whenever you have an expression raised to the 0 power, the answer is 1. And the same thing here, everything here is raised to a 0, so our answer is 1. And that's it for this page. So if you need more time on this page, go ahead and pause the video. There is one more page on your notes. You do not have to do this page, but if you want to do this page, go for it. In class, a couple students got to this page. You don't have to do it, but you are free to. If you want help with it, come see me. I'm always available 1 to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So again, this page you don't have to do, but feel free to if you want to. Okay, that is it for the video. Make sure you turn this in on Google Classroom. Thanks for watching.